Chosen one, within you there is something extraordinary, a divine revelation that God Himself has deposited in your spirit. Something so sacred, so delicate, that not everyone is destined to know it. But pay close attention, because revealing this secret prematurely can leave you spiritually exposed, stripping away the supernatural protection that God has placed around you. Have you ever felt that when sharing your deepest dreams, you were misunderstood, betrayed, or unjustly attacked? Today, you're going to discover why that happened and how to prevent it from happening again. Your spiritual safety depends on what you're about to hear in the next few minutes. If you are truly one of the chosen ones, prove your spiritual connection to this truth. Like this video, subscribe right now if you haven't done so already, and comment 999. This number is a powerful spiritual signal, a divine code that will strengthen your protection as you listen to this revelation until the very end. Get ready, because what's coming is crucial for your life. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why your life feels mysteriously marked, as though invisible forces are continuously guiding your steps? This isn't imagination, it's evidence of the extraordinary truth hidden deep within your spirit. You see, God doesn't scatter His divine secrets randomly. No. He selects a precious few, entrusting them with a revelation so powerful, so intimately tied to their destiny, that it acts as both their compass and their shield. Your divine secret isn't ordinary, it's supernatural, it's strategic, it's your personal code from heaven itself, meticulously crafted to protect, empower, and guide you through the chaotic storms of this world. But here's something astonishing that few realize. Your secret isn't merely an insight or a prophetic vision, it's actually a living force, an active presence resonating within your being. Every step you take, every decision you make, is subtly influenced by this invisible yet powerful energy. You might have noticed moments when everything around you was falling apart, yet somehow you remained untouched, mysteriously shielded from harm. Those moments were not coincidence. They were divine intervention at its finest, the secret working within you to align every circumstance for your highest good. This secret also sets you apart, often creating feelings of isolation or misunderstanding. It's why you've sometimes felt out of place even among friends or family. It's not rejection, it's spiritual separation, a necessary distance designed to protect the purity and potency of what God has planted inside you. You're not alone. You're carefully hidden. The world sees your quietness and mistakes it for weakness, not realizing that within your silence lies immense power, a power waiting patiently for the divine timing to be unleashed. Consider carefully the great figures of history whom God trusted with profound revelations. They weren't chosen because they were flawless. Rather, they were chosen because they understood the sacredness of discretion. Think of Moses, carrying the weight of divine laws etched by God's own hand. He didn't share every revelation impulsively. He held it closely until the precise moment God intended. Your divine secret follows the same eternal law. It must be safeguarded, respected, and revealed only when heaven commands. Understand this clearly. Your secret is directly connected to the very fabric of your destiny. It's not just protective, it's prophetic. Within it lies the blueprint of your life's purpose, the instructions for navigating through trials, and the spiritual insights needed to withstand the fiercest battles. Many around you will never grasp its importance. They might even ridicule the path it guides you toward, dismissing your dreams as fantasies or delusions. But here's a warning that could save you years of pain. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your truth. Be discerning, because the wrong ears can twist your destiny, turning divine dreams into nightmares. This brings us to the crucial turning point, an essential crossroads you must navigate wisely. If you've already glimpsed the greatness hidden within your secret, you must commit fully to preserving its sanctity. Imagine your secret as a seed planted deep beneath fertile soil, watered by patience, nurtured by wisdom, and protected by silence. It will eventually blossom into something miraculous, far beyond your imagination. But if prematurely exposed, it could be devoured by envy, betrayal, or spiritual sabotage, leaving your destiny vulnerable to attack. Listen closely now, chosen one, because what I'm about to say could shift your trajectory forever. Guarding your secret isn't passive. It's warfare. It requires courage, intentionality, and absolute spiritual vigilance. Every day that passes is another moment closer to your revelation, another step toward fulfilling your divine assignment. But will you protect it fiercely enough to see that moment arrive? Or will the pressures around you coax it from your lips prematurely? Hold on to this thought. You stand at the brink of a profound awakening. But first, there is one critical revelation you must absorb fully before we continue. A revelation so transformative that, once understood, will change your approach to every conversation, every interaction, and every relationship in your life. Are you ready to hear it? Lean in closely, because once you grasp this, you'll never see your secret, or yourself, the same way again. Chosen one, there's a spiritual law that very few understand. A truth that could be the difference between walking boldly in your divine assignment or being trapped in cycles of betrayal and spiritual warfare. Here it is. Not every revelation is meant to be spoken. Not every vision God gives you is meant to be shared. Because the moment you expose a sacred thing to unprepared hearts, you don't just inform them, you awaken forces that you may not be ready to face. Let's go back to Joseph. A young man, pure in heart, ecstatic with the dream God had entrusted to him. He didn't share it out of arrogance. He shared it with joy, with the innocence of someone who believed that his own blood would celebrate his calling. But what happened? His words were not met with applause but with envy, resentment, and eventually betrayal. His own brothers became agents of his downfall. Why? Because Joseph revealed a divine secret to those whose hearts were contaminated with insecurity, pride, and spiritual blindness. You see, chosen one, this is the dangerous mistake many of us make. We assume that proximity equals loyalty, that just because someone is near us, they are for us. But not everyone in your circle is aligned with your purpose. Some people walk beside you, but in their hearts, they carry seeds of jealousy waiting for the right moment to sprout. And nothing accelerates that moment more than when you unveil the sacred plans God has for your life. Here's a hard truth. Your calling is too heavy for unprepared hands. Your vision is too vast for small-minded perspectives. When you speak prematurely, you force others to process something they were never meant to carry. And the result? Their hearts react in the only way they know, through criticism, doubt, sabotage, and spiritual attacks. But there's a layer even deeper than that. When you reveal too much too soon, you're not just dealing with human emotions, you're exposing your blueprint to invisible adversaries. The moment you verbalize what God is doing in your life to the wrong audience, you activate a realm of resistance that begins plotting against your path. Spiritual attacks intensify, confusion sets in, and what was once a clear and divine strategy becomes a battleground of unnecessary warfare. Ask yourself, how many times have you shared a dream, a blessing, or a divine idea with someone, only to watch doors start closing, relationships souring, and obstacles appearing from nowhere? That's not random. That's not bad luck. That's spiritual backlash. Because when you broadcast divine intel without discernment, you give the enemy a map straight to your destiny's weak points. You need to understand that your secret is not just information, it's a spiritual weapon. And every weapon must be handled with precision. God didn't give you this revelation to impress others. He gave it to you because you are uniquely anointed to carry it in silence until the appointed time. But why is silence so powerful? Because it starves the enemy of ammunition. The less they know, the less they can attack. When you guard your secret, you're not walking in fear. You're walking in wisdom. You're preserving the purity of what God is birthing in you, allowing it to grow, mature, and strengthen in a place of divine concealment. There's also a sacred intimacy that grows between you and God when you learn to keep His revelations hidden. Every time you choose silence over explanation, you're building a deeper trust with the one who entrusted you with the secret in the first place. You're telling heaven, I value what you've given me too much to expose it to those who aren't ready. And here's a profound insight most never realize. Sometimes God delays your breakthrough not because you're not ready, but because you keep unveiling things before their time. Premature exposure invites unnecessary battles, draining your energy and distracting you from the core of your assignment. But you have a choice. You can either keep scattering your pearls, hoping the wrong people will finally understand, or you can rise into a new dimension of spiritual maturity, where silence becomes your strategy and discretion becomes your defense. Now, chosen one, listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal next is something that can spiritually shield you from countless invisible attacks. It's a hidden dynamic that, once you recognize it, will forever change how you navigate conversations, relationships, and even the thoughts you allow to escape your mouth. Prepare yourself, because the next revelation will expose a silent enemy that has been lurking closer than you ever imagined. Chosen one. There's a spiritual principle that operates silently but relentlessly in the lives of those who carry divine assignments. Every word you release carries weight in the unseen realm. Every declaration, every testimony, every casual remark about what God is doing in your life, none of it goes unnoticed in the spiritual world. While you may think you're simply sharing good news or seeking validation, the spiritual consequences of revealing too much can trigger a chain reaction of resistance that is far more dangerous than you imagine. You need to understand this. Words are not just sounds. They are spiritual codes that activate realities. The moment you voice a divine plan, you are sending a signal into realms where both allies and adversaries are listening. In the natural, you're having a conversation, but in the spirit, you're opening doors. Doors that, once unlocked, cannot always be easily shut. This is why many chosen ones experience sudden waves of opposition right after sharing a personal victory or a revelation. Have you ever noticed how everything seemed to shift the moment you spoke about a blessing? How confusion crept in? How unexpected conflicts arose? How things that were once flowing smoothly began to stagnate? That isn't a coincidence. That is spiritual backlash. When you reveal what is sacred, you inadvertently provide the enemy with a blueprint of your next move. Think of it as a chess game. If you openly announce your strategy to your opponent, you're giving them the exact advantage they need to counter your every step. The enemy doesn't need to guess what you're planning. You've handed him the map through your own words. But it goes even deeper. Every time you reveal too much, you also expose the fragile stage of your blessing. Divine plans are often in their infancy when God reveals them to you, delicate, unformed, requiring protection. Much like a seed needs soil and time before it can withstand external elements. Speaking prematurely is like uprooting that seed, showing it to the world before its roots have taken hold. The result? The seed withers under the harshness of envy, doubt, and spiritual attacks. And here's a crucial insight that will change the way you see every conversation. Not all opposition comes from visible enemies. Sometimes it's the subtle, passive reactions, the forced smiles, the insincere congratulations, the lingering silence after you share your dream, that carry the most destructive spiritual energy. Words of doubt whispered behind your back. Thoughts of envy disguised as harmless curiosity. These are the seeds of sabotage that begin to grow in the shadows, forming strongholds of resistance against your purpose. Moreover, revealing too much can alter the atmosphere of faith around you. When you share a divine vision with someone who lacks spiritual alignment, their unbelief can contaminate your own faith. It creates a spiritual tug-of-war, where your confidence is constantly being pulled down by the weight of their doubts and fears. What was once a clear, burning conviction becomes clouded, heavy, and uncertain. This is why the Bible repeatedly emphasizes the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21 declares, Death and life are in the power of the tongue. This isn't poetic imagery, it's a spiritual law. Every word you speak is either building your destiny or sabotaging it, attracting divine favor, or opening portals to unnecessary warfare. But chosen one, don't misunderstand. This isn't about walking in fear. It's about walking in discernment. Silence, when used wisely, becomes an impenetrable shield. Every moment you choose to protect what God is doing in your life, you are reinforcing your spiritual armor, making it nearly impossible for the enemy to locate or sabotage your progress. Yet, there's a sobering reality. Many chosen ones suffer not because of external attacks, but because of self-inflicted spiritual exposure. They spoke too soon. They sought applause instead of divine timing. They allowed impatience to dictate their declarations, forgetting that what is spoken prematurely becomes vulnerable to destruction. But here's where the urgency intensifies. You might think, I've already shared too much. I've already exposed myself. And while that may be true, it's not too late to reclaim spiritual ground. There is a divine strategy, a way to recover what has been compromised. But to access it, you must first recognize the unseen traps that have been set against you. Traps that were activated not by coincidence, but by the words you released into the atmosphere. And now, as you're beginning to perceive the magnitude of this spiritual dynamic, a new question arises. How do you close the doors that have been opened? How do you restore the divine shield that was weakened by premature exposure? The answer is closer than you think, and in the next revelation, you'll discover a spiritual protocol that will empower you to recover lost ground and reinforce your divine protection stronger than ever before. Stay with me, because what's coming next could be the turning point that realigns your destiny. Chosen one, if right now you're feeling the weight of having spoken too soon, if your heart is heavy because you realize you've exposed what should have remained hidden, I need you to understand something very clearly. You are not doomed. It's not over. Spiritual restoration is still within your reach, but the path to reclaiming your divine protection requires a sacred shift, a conscious return to the place where all true power is birthed, the secret place of intimacy with God. Many believe that once a word is spoken, its consequences are irreversible. But in the spiritual realm, repentance isn't just about guilt. It's a supernatural reset. When you humble yourself and return to God with a heart that says, Father, I moved ahead of your timing. I exposed what should have been concealed. Teach me to guard what you have entrusted to me. You trigger a divine recalibration. God is not surprised by your mistakes. He's not overwhelmed by the doors you opened. He holds the authority to seal every breach, to close every access point the enemy has used to launch attacks against your life. But this restoration begins in silence. Before you can reclaim what was lost, you must retreat into the hidden place where heaven's strategies are whispered. This is not a casual prayer. It's a spiritual retreat, a sacred withdrawal from the noise of opinions, expectations, and distractions. In this space, it's just you and God. No explanations, no defenses, just raw, honest communion. And here's a divine secret few tap into. Spiritual protection isn't just restored through words, it's restored through alignment. When you posture your heart in humility, choosing obedience over pride, heaven responds with a force of restoration that no enemy can withstand. This is where divine doors are shut, not by your effort, but by God's hand. But you must also understand the wisdom of sacred silence moving forward. This time of restoration isn't just about damage control, it's about building a new foundation of discernment. Every secret God gives you going forward will come with a test. Will you protect it, or will you seek validation by revealing it prematurely? Each time you choose to guard rather than expose, you reinforce the spiritual walls that keep you fortified. Let's be very clear. Recovery is not passive. You have a role to play. There are spiritual actions that accelerate divine realignment. Fasting, for instance, sharpens your spiritual sensitivity, silencing the distractions that once pushed you to overshare. Worship shifts atmospheres, disarming the enemy's assignments against you. Speaking declarations of divine protection over your life reestablishes the authority you momentarily surrendered. Every action taken in the secret place builds a barrier of divine fire around you, an impenetrable shield that the enemy cannot decode. But here's a critical revelation that will change how you approach every interaction from this day forward. The enemy operates on information. He cannot attack what he cannot identify. When you master the discipline of concealment, you become spiritually invisible to his tactics. Your life becomes a mystery wrapped in divine secrecy, where every step you take is shielded. Every move you make is divinely orchestrated away from the eyes of opposition. And yet, God's restoration is not limited to merely protecting what's ahead. He is the God who can retrieve what was lost, who can redeem the time the enemy stole through premature exposure. Every delayed blessing, every sabotaged opportunity, every spiritual backlash that was triggered, he can restore it all. But this restoration comes with a call to higher responsibility. You cannot return to casual conversations, to carelessly sharing divine revelations. From this moment on, you must walk with a renewed mindset. What is sacred must remain sacred until heaven says otherwise. Now, as you're absorbing this truth, there's one more spiritual weapon you need to understand. A weapon that, when wielded correctly, will not only seal your divine protection but will amplify your capacity to receive even greater revelations. It's a principle hidden in the life of every person who has walked in undeniable favor, and it will become your greatest ally in the journey ahead. Get ready, chosen one, because the next revelation will unlock a level of divine strategy that most never access. What's coming next isn't just about protection, it's about positioning yourself for a dimension of favor and authority that will make your silence more powerful than 1,000 declarations. Stay with me. Your elevation is near. Chosen one, there is a rare kind of wisdom that separates those who merely carry divine revelation from those who see it fulfilled in its entirety. It's not found in speaking louder. It's not found in explaining yourself to those who are spiritually deaf. This wisdom is hidden in the art of sacred silence. True spiritual maturity is not proven by how well you can declare what God has shown you. It's proven by your ability to protect it with fierce discretion and unwavering gratitude. Let me take you into the heart of a moment that most overlook. When the angel revealed to Mary that she would give birth to the Savior of the world, she didn't run into the streets announcing her destiny. She didn't post about it for public validation. Scripture says she pondered these things in her heart. Mary understood a principle that can shield your destiny from unnecessary warfare. Not every revelation demands an audience. Some truths are meant to be nurtured in the quiet until heaven gives you the signal to release them. Chosen one, in this generation, silence is countercultural. The world teaches you to broadcast every move, to seek constant affirmation, to prove your worth through visibility. But in the kingdom of God, visibility without preparation is vulnerability. Every time you choose silence over exposure, you are allowing God's promises to mature, to strengthen, to be fortified in the hidden places where no enemy can reach. Silence is not weakness. It is spiritual strategy. It's a protective shield that blinds the enemy to your next move. It confuses those who seek to derail your purpose because they can't attack what they can't see. When you master the art of divine silence, you walk through spiritual minefields unscathed because you are no longer a visible target for those plotting your downfall. But silence alone is not enough. It must be coupled with gratitude. Here's a revelation that will change your posture forever. Gratitude is the spiritual magnet that accelerates the manifestation of divine promises. Every moment you spend thanking God for what He is doing, even before it's visible, you're strengthening your spiritual shield. Gratitude locks your focus on God's faithfulness, anchoring you in His timing and not the expectations of others. Gratitude is also a weapon against doubt. The enemy's primary strategy is to plant seeds of impatience and discouragement. whispering lies that your silence means delay, that your hiddenness means insignificance. But when you respond with gratitude, you counter every lie with the truth of God's promises. You declare, I may be silent, but I am not forgotten. I may be hidden, but I am not lost. What God has spoken will come to pass, and I will protect it until the time is right. There's another layer to this power dynamic. When you choose silence and gratitude, you become spiritually unpredictable. The enemy thrives on predictability, on patterns, on reactions. But a heart that remains grateful in hidden seasons, that refuses to reveal divine strategies prematurely, becomes a mystery the enemy cannot decipher. You move in stealth, guided by divine timing, untouched by the opinions or attacks of others. But let me give you a prophetic warning. Your silence will be tested. There will be moments where the urge to prove yourself will be overwhelming. Times when people will challenge your calling, dismiss your purpose, or pressure you to explain your process. In these moments, the temptation to break your silence will be intense. But remember this, God's promises don't need your defense. They need your patience. Your life will be the loudest testimony when the appointed time arrives. And here's the ultimate truth. Every second you choose to wait in gratitude and silence, you are building a reservoir of spiritual authority. When the moment comes for your revelation to be unveiled, the impact will be undeniable. The very people who questioned you, the ones who overlooked you, will witness the manifestation of what you protected in secret. And by then, it will be too late for the enemy to sabotage it, because the process will be complete. Now, chosen one, as you're absorbing the magnitude of this principle, I need you to prepare for the final revelation. Because everything you've learned about discretion, restoration, and spiritual protection is leading to a climactic truth, a truth that will anchor your destiny and empower you to walk in unstoppable authority. In the conclusion that follows, you will receive a prophetic charge, a divine mandate that will not only seal what you've learned, but activate the full force of heaven's protection over your life. Get ready, because your next decision will determine whether you remain exposed or ascend into a dimension where no force of darkness can touch what God has destined for you. Stay with me. The most important moment is about to be revealed. Chosen one, hear me now. The secret God placed within you is not just information. It is divine armor. It is your most powerful protection, your invisible shield against forces that cannot comprehend the magnitude of your calling. This secret is sacred. This secret is holy, and today you are being entrusted with a decision that will define your spiritual destiny. You must protect it, fiercely, relentlessly, not with fear, but with wisdom, not with anxiety, but with divine confidence. Because when you guard what heaven has entrusted to you, you are not hiding, you are fortifying. You are not retreating. You are ascending into a level of spiritual authority that very few will ever access. The enemy fears your silence more than your words. He fears what he cannot trace, what he cannot sabotage. Every moment you choose to keep God's promise concealed until the appointed time, you are tightening the armor of divine protection around your life. You are ensuring that no force of darkness will ever touch what was written in heaven with your name on it. But this is not a passive choice. This is a sacred vow, a declaration to heaven, to earth, and to every unseen adversary that your secret is safe, that you will no longer scatter pearls before those who cannot discern their value, that you will no longer trade your divine strategy for fleeting applause, that your destiny is too precious to be exposed to unworthy ears. Today is a defining moment, a spiritual turning point where you rise into a new dimension of discernment, wisdom, and unshakable alignment with God's timing. From this day forward, your silence will not be mistaken for weakness. It will be recognized as spiritual mastery. You will walk hidden, but unstoppable, quiet, but undeniable, invisible to the schemes of the enemy, yet fully visible to the eyes of God. Chosen one, if this word pierced your spirit, I want you to declare it boldly in the comments. My secret is safe. Let it be a prophetic stamp on your destiny, a public declaration that you now understand the weight of what you carry. And as you write these words, feel the shift within you. The alignment, the protection, the divine fire surrounding your life intensifying with every breath. May the wisdom of God saturate your mind. May His discernment sharpen your spirit, and may your silence roar louder than 1,000 voices ever could. Your time is coming. Your moment is sealed. And when God says it's time, the world won't know what hit them. But until then, hold the secret, guard the promise, protect the destiny, and let the silence work.